Hello, hello, and welcome. We are super excited to have you all coming on in here. My name is Jay, and I am your StriveScan facilitator for this evening. And we have 5 great schools with just 6 minutes to tell you their quick hits. So be ready to take some notes, ask some good questions. But again, my name is Jay. I am your StriveScan facilitator for tonight. And we just want to welcome you to the Bay Area Case Studies Virtual College Fair. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, some housekeeping items before I get started with our presenters. First, there's a Q&A button at the top or bottom of your screen, so you should be able to ask questions at any time to our presenters. The only request we have is that if you have a question for a specific school, please list that school so the right person can answer the right question. Also, your camera, your microphone are all completely off, so you can see and hear us, but we cannot see and hear you. Also, there are always many sessions happening with StriveScan, so if you want to register for more 6x6 sessions, get these quick hits, we absolutely encourage you to do so. And this session is being recorded. So within about 1 week, you can get this recording at strivescan.com/BACS. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to bring up our first presenter with University of San Francisco. Come on up.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen really quickly here, and then we'll get started. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the University of San Francisco. So as I'm working through sharing my screen here, my name is Rebecca Williams. I'm an Associate Director of Admission here at the University of San Francisco. I use she, her pronouns. So just to get us started and just to tell you a little bit more about the university, the first thing that I always like to highlight is our location. Even though I know we're all living pretty close in and around, just in case you have not familiarized yourself with the campus before, we are located just truly smack dab in the middle of San Francisco. So we're a very urban campus environment, about 55 acres, 2.5 miles to the west, you hit the ocean, 2.5 miles to the east, and you hit the bay side of the city. Got ahead of myself. There's only a few slides. So I think rather than kind of going through everything that there is to know about USF, I hopefully will just pique your interest with really telling you more about the ethos and the campus culture, because I think that's going to be really the more standout pieces to University of San Francisco. So all of the sort of good things that you can pretty much find on the website and are also common amongst a lot of schools. We're a medium-sized liberal arts institution, about 6,500 students. So that means you're going to get all the hallmarks of a small kind of liberal arts classroom experience. It means students are going to really spend that first year and a half working on core curriculum or kind of general education requirements, where there's a lot of different types of classes that they can take to meet those requirements. And then they'll really focus in on their major. But more importantly is thinking about our population, our students, and the campus culture, because that's really going to inform a student's experience on the campus. So we are a Jesuit institution. And what that means is, in case you're not familiar with it, so Jesuit is a branch within Catholicism, and the Jesuits sort of went around founding universities and in colleges and high schools and things like that to promote education. And our Jesuit identity is less about a religious expectation for you, and it is more about a expectation of service and leadership. So when we have students, and I would say this is a really common theme on the campus, our students really believe in this mission and this kind of core value system of being men and women for others. And so that's going to be sort of a common thread amongst the student body here. And really what that ultimately boils down to in very simple terms is that this is a very social justice focused institution. And this is something that our students really care about a lot. They are thinking about things outside of the classroom, outside of themselves, and in the greater community and in the world. And so I think it's really important to just sort of understand that. The other piece is, who are you going to school with? Who's sitting in those classrooms with you? We are the 4th most diverse university in the US, which is highly indicative of where we are in the country. So of course, located in the San Francisco Bay Area, as we all know, a very diverse location. The campus is certainly representative of that, and representative of that in some different ways as well. So we have students representing all 50 states. So half of our students actually come from outside of California. 13% of our students are coming from an international location. So we have 98 countries represented on the campus, and a third of our students are the first in their family to go to college. So all of that, what that really means is that when you're in these smaller, medium-sized classes of 22, 30 students, those microcosms of diversity are going to show up a lot more, and they're going to really influence a student's social and academic experience on the campus. Of course, when you apply for admission, you're essentially applying to be admitted into essentially all of the programs. The exception to that are direct entry programs of nursing and engineering. But at our core, because we're a liberal arts institution, you're really going to spend some time kind of getting to know the different departments. You, of course, will indicate a major when you apply, but it's pretty easy to switch around that in that first year. And my caveats are nursing and engineering. Those are totally kind of separate realms. The application process, really simple and straightforward. We continue to be a test optional school, and we have been going on 4 years now. And so truly test optional, you do not need to submit test scores, regardless of program that you're applying to. We will not consider them if you don't submit them. If you do want to submit them, you can, but either way does not impact your application in any kind of negative way. And we will continue to be a letter of recommendation optional going into this year as well. So students who are applying next year don't need a letter of recommendation. We do need your official transcripts. And of course, our deadlines for early action or early decision, November 1st, regular decision, January 15th. And the last thing I will say about our university, aside from staying in touch with me, is just the student experience. It's not a stereotypical student experience. We really, I think that's probably one of the first things I notice is that students can really sort of choose their own adventure. You want a really big school spirit, D1 feeling, great. We're a D1 school, come cheer on the basketball team or the soccer team. You want to have that Greek life experience, wonderful. We have sororities, we have fraternities, or you just want to participate in clubs, that's fine too. Pretty much everybody does. We have like 150 plus clubs and orgs. But there isn't, none of those, the Greek experience, the D1 experience, none of those really dominate the social scene. So you don't miss out on something if you're choosing not to do something. So you really get a strong mix there. And that is actually the formal end of my 6 minutes on USF. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Really appreciate that. We are going to move right along to our second presenter with Macalester College. Come on up.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attendance at a non-mandatory Zoom meeting. You are exceeding expectations. My name is Ross Braun from Brenner. I'm an Associate Director of Admissions at Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota. I use the he series of pronouns. I'm also an alum of Macalester from the class of 2014. I won't be sharing my screen this evening, going old school and just sharing a few thoughts. And a couple of things to ground ourselves in about Macalester. The first is that we are a small, selective, residential liberal arts college. And my one sentence summary of the liberal arts, student to faculty is 10 to 1, average class size is 17, you're a name, not a number, you have dinner at professors' houses, everybody plays ultimate frisbee. So that's the brief version, but two things about the Macalester experience that I think make us a little bit unique, even amongst other small, residential, tight-knit, community-driven liberal arts colleges. And the first is location. And when I talk about our location in the Twin Cities, I think right now it is important and necessary and urgent to talk about a couple of different things. And I'm gonna speak a little bit about the benefits and the resources and the communities that are available here, but I also want to ground us in our present moment and acknowledge on the back of a pretty significant jury verdict that is the first step toward accountability and toward justice, that there's work to be done in the Twin Cities and around the country, and that Macalester is committed to being at the forefront of that work toward justice and toward equity, and that along with the benefits and the resources of an urban location comes the necessary work to move toward that every day. And so we're grateful for our location in the Twin Cities, and it is something that I think helps us stand out. In that when I talk to prospective students, one of two things typically rises to the top as the reason Macalester got on their list, stayed on their list, or eventually made it to the top of their list. And that small school in a big city feel is one of those two things. A phrase that gets thrown around occasionally is the best of both worlds. You get the small, tight-knit campus, you get the residential feel, you get to know names and faces around campus, but you're also in a metropolitan area of 3.5 million people. You can explore food and music and art and culture and pre-professional opportunities and political engagement and service and all of that, while still coming back to a community that can really feel like home from day one. The second piece is our mission. It's a pretty specific mission. It's very institutionally relevant, and it shapes everything we do, from the classes we offer to the students who come to campus, to the discussions on our campus, to the careers and adventures that our alumni will pursue. And the 4 core values of Macalester, our mission, is rooted in a commitment to academic excellence, internationalism, multiculturalism, and service to society. So right off the bat, if those resonate with you, if those are of interest to you, if those are meaningful to you, if those are concepts and conversations and ideas and ideologies that you want to give agency and space to and dig into and really examine what they mean to you and how to help give those space in the world, you're going to find a sense of belonging in this community pretty quickly. And that I think I identify as the second thing that makes a lot of folks gravitate toward Macalester, that keeps it on a list, that makes people think about what is the ethos, what is the spirit of this place. You can really go back to those 4 core values. And so as you navigate this search, if that mission resonates, if that idea of location resonates, I encourage you to do a little bit more digging on Macalester. I am the California rep for Mac. I'm a Bay Area native. You can see my little bridge here in the background. I've spent a decade or more in the Bay Area and a decade in the Twin Cities. I'm happy to talk about snow or weather if you need me to. And I'm really happy to talk about kind of making that transition and what some next steps in our process might look like. Admissions and financial aid wise, we are permanently test optional. We meet 100% of demonstrated financial need and consider every applicant for academic merit scholarships, and we don't have an application fee. So if you're thinking about Macalester, if one of those 2 things is helping it rise on the list, I'd certainly be willing and happy to chat a little bit more, either in the Q&A or after this session. I do encourage you to contact me or any members of my team. And I want to thank you for your time. You're at a non-mandatory Zoom meeting. And all of us in college admissions really appreciate you taking the chance to get to know us. And if there's any way we can help, we work from our living rooms, as I imagine many of you do, and we check our email like it's a hobby. So please do let us know.
Thank you so much, Ross. Really appreciate that. We're going to move now to the next presentation with University of Redlands. Come on up.
Alrighty, thank you. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. Alrighty. Hello, everyone. My name is Dulce Garcia. I'm an admissions counselor for University of Redlands. I use she, her pronouns. The University of Redlands is located in Southern California. We are a private liberal arts university. We are also located in the traditional homelands of the Serrano and Cahuilla peoples. So it's really important to acknowledge that. Where we are in relation to Southern California, we're right smack in the middle. So we are close to beaches, mountains, desert, LA, Anaheim, all those really wonderful places that you would want to be a part of when you are in college. The city of Redlands is a really great location in itself. It was named one of the best college towns by AAA magazine a few years ago. So definitely a great place to call home. Another added bonus is that our average temperature is 80 degrees. So it is always really sunny and we don't know what snow looks like. Alrighty, so a little bit more about Redlands. So really quickly, like I said, we are a small university. We do sit on 160 acres of land. And we do have 2,500 undergraduate students. So again, pretty tiny, intimate classes. Our campus is very residential focused. So most of our students live on campus. We do have a 4-year housing guarantee, and about 70% of our students take us up on that offer to live on campus. So very tight-knit community. Another thing to boast about Redlands is that we do really pride ourselves on a diverse and inclusive campus. But more about Redlands and really who are we and what are we trying to accomplish in higher ed? It's really to educate the heart and the mind of a scholar. So Redlands really values the education that you are receiving within the classroom walls. So that is educating the mind but also the education that happens outside of the classroom. So that's all your extracurricular activities, the things that you are passionate about. So that is educating your heart. And we really believe that by informing your heart and your mind, you're really becoming the best version of you, and you're able to serve communities better. You're able to be a well-rounded person overall. So student life at Redlands. So we are a very tight-knit community. As I mentioned, we do have over 100 clubs and organizations that you can be a part of. That does include Greek life and athletics. So if those are things that are calling your name, great, we have that. One of the most important things to highlight with our student life is going to be our commitment to service. So all of our students do need to complete 80 hours of service while they are at Redlands. So this really allows our students to be able to connect the dots between what they are learning in a classroom and what they are seeing and experiencing for themselves. So really allows that kind of holistic, well-rounded education. So as I mentioned, Redlands does have a really great commitment to diversity. We are located in Southern California, so a pretty diverse place in the world. We do have different resources to offer our students. So we do have a multicultural center, a pride center, gender justice center, Native student programs, first generation student programs. About 36% of our students are the first in their families to go to college. And we also do have the Office of International Scholars. So here's a little bit more about our athletics. We are a Division III institution with 21 competitive sports. About 75% of our sports rank nationally. So if you are interested in playing one of these sports, please talk to our coaches to kind of figure out how to do that. So again, a really big commitment to housing. Our students are predominantly residential, but one of the most important things are all the resources that we offer our students to be successful in college. So we do offer tutoring, academic support services, and counseling, which is all included in the cost of tuition. So more about academics. We are a small institution with a 13-to-1 student to faculty ratio. The average class is about 18 students. This really allows our students to be able to connect with their professors, be able to connect with one another, be able to think critically, ask questions, build arguments, and also be able to learn a little bit more by experience. Our students do internships and research with faculty members. So this really gives our undergraduate students the leg up to be successful in the future. We do offer over 40 majors at Redlands, so pretty diverse there. So we do have things like biochemistry, engineering, and things like creative writing and theater business. So quite a ton to do at the U of R. Some of our more keynote programs at Redlands are going to be the Johnson Center for Integrative Studies and the School of Music. The Johnson Center is a program where you can essentially create your own major, very interdisciplinary focus. And the School of Music, we have one of the oldest schools of music in the state of California. It's actually the second oldest. It is a conservatory style education. Another big thing to highlight at Redlands is our passion for globalization. So our students do have the opportunity to study abroad. About 54% of our students will have that opportunity. We do offer over 100 locations, including our beautiful castle in Salzburg, Austria. And for your success, over 90% of our students who graduate from Redlands go off to the workforce or graduate school within a year of leaving the U of R. And we do have a 4-year graduation guarantee. And if you're from California, which all of you should be, that's a pretty big deal. You get to graduate in 4 years. A little bit more about admissions. We do accept the common application. We review applications holistically. We are a test optional institution, so keep that in mind when you are applying. We do have 3 different deadlines on 2 different dates. Early decision and early action are due on November 15th, and regular decision is due on January 15th. A little bit about financial aid. University of Redlands does offer need and merit scholarships, and we also do offer talent scholarships. So if any of those things are of interest to you, definitely ask any questions about applying for financial aid. And finally, again, if you have any questions, please feel free to stay connected with us, and we're happy to answer any and all questions. Thank you so much for joining tonight.
Thank you, really appreciate that. We are over halfway through our presenters and just want to remind you that you can ask questions via the Q&A box, but let's get right on to it. Babson College, come on up.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. Give me just 1 second to share my screen and we'll get going. Okay, My name is Carly Ryan. I am a Senior Regional Assistant Director here at Babson College. So I will eventually be out on the West Coast with you all on the same time zone and working with students who are interested in Babson from the entire West Coast. So nice to be able to talk to you all tonight a little bit about Babson. I know you've been getting a ton of different information tonight and, over this whole program. So thank you for listening in on Babson and learning a little bit about us. We are located in Wellesley, Massachusetts, and tonight there are 4 areas I do want to touch on. First, academics, student life, then career outcomes, and the admission process. So Babson College educates entrepreneurial leaders who create great economic and social value everywhere. We are a business school here at Babson. So if you are interested in business, we are a great place to come have your 4 years at college. Our students are leaders right from the start. They learn to amplify those skills from when they step foot on campus. And here we really do believe that entrepreneurship can be a powerful force within organizations of all types and all sizes. So we don't look at entrepreneurship as everybody has to start a business. We look at it as a mindset. Maybe that's something you do want to do, is start your own business. Maybe you're just interested in some different sections of the business industry. Anywhere in between, we're going to have you take some small class sizes and we'll give you some hands-on experience on how to take risks, think outside the box, not be afraid of failure, and if failure presents itself, how to pivot. So again, anywhere in between these business industries, these are great skills to learn and you'll get them at Babson. We've been rated #1 for entrepreneurship for 24 years and counting. So we like our students to know a little bit about our location. So when they're coming here to study business, what they can do with the outside world around us. We are located about 10 miles outside of the city of Boston, and students use and access the city right from the campus for many different professional and social reasons, of course. We have a small gated-in campus. It's very green, a lot of space for our students to walk on, get to see other students out there. But we're also right next to a hustling and bustling city. So if students are wanting to go into Boston, there's so many options able to do so from there. This is just a look at our class of 2024 profile. We have about 2,400 undergraduate students, which ranges to about 600 per class. And we have students coming from all over the United States and all over the world. We're a very global campus. For this class in particular, we've had students coming from 35 states and over 40 different countries. So our student body enables students to learn from each other. We have students from all different backgrounds and cultures coming to campus and calling Babson their home, bringing their experiences to the classroom, and then of course learning from other students who might not have had the same experience as them. So we like to offer that to our students within small class sizes. We have a 14:1 student to faculty ratio and an average class of about 30 students. Our SAT and ACT scores are listed here. We have gone test optional for now and for the foreseeable future. So if you are interested in applying for the next 2 years, we will be test optional. So you don't have to worry about that. If you did want to submit your test scores, you absolutely can. We blend our business fundamentals with our liberal arts courses. So 50% of your courses will have liberal arts within them. I just want to talk a second about how we set up our program here at Babson. Students will graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Business. We don't have the standard majors or minors like you might hear from some other schools tonight. We offer 1 degree in business and 27 concentrations that can complement that degree, which really range in a bunch of different things that you could do. Of course, the more typical business concentrations like finance, accounting, we have a fashion one, we have politics, we have a law concentration. So some business opportunities, but then some non-business opportunities that can blend and teach you about business within those industries. We do our one major really, really well. We put all of our resources into our business degree so students can really feel prepared for that next step. We do have a partnership with Olin and Wellesley, which are right around the corner from us, 2 different colleges where students can take some engineering courses at Olin or at Wellesley, some liberal arts courses. So we have a pretty extensive academic catalog with those colleges as well. 2 classes I like to talk about that give you a little bit more hands-on are FME, so the Foundations of Management and Entrepreneurship. This is a class where you will start your own business with funding from the college. You'll get together in groups, have this business come to life throughout the year, and then eventually you'll sell those products that you do make, take that money and whatever you've raised, donate that to charity. So it's a really cool hands-on experience in your first year of college to see all the backgrounds of what it takes to start a business And if that's not something you're interested in the entrepreneurship action, it's totally fine. We have students who are in that into the HR section. They do CEO, running the whole business, but not exactly going about and inventing it. So a couple different ways to jump in there. We also offer a consulting option for upperclassmen where these students have worked with the Red Sox, they've worked with Dunkin' Donuts for a range of projects like marketing, sustainability, social media, all different types of things for different companies. And here we have some different ways to get involved. We have 22 Division III sports and over 100 student clubs and organizations to get involved with. Finally, I just want to talk a little bit about our outcomes here. Students, we have a 99% placement rate, which means within 6 months of graduation, students were either in grad school or they were working. And that's something that carried for the class of 2019 and the class of 2020. We have internships that we offer all throughout the year. 90% of our students do at least one internship. And then our financial aid, we do meet 100% of demonstrated need through the FAFSA and the CSS profile. So if you are interested in financial aid, you can work with our financial aid office there. And finally, this is just our contact information. I'm going to pass it on from here, but thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, please let me know in the chat. But good luck with everything and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you so much, Carly. Really appreciate that. And we have one final presenter with Whitman College. Go ahead and take it away, Phoebe.
Thanks, Jay. Hi, everyone. My name is Phoebe. I use they, them pronouns. I am an admission officer at Whitman who works with students from San Francisco as well as the East Bay. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the school today. Whitman is a small liberal arts college that is located on the traditional homelands of the Cayuse, Umatilla, and Walla Walla peoples. As an institution, we really emphasize accessible resources and engaged academics. So those are the two themes I'm really going to be focusing on tonight. I'm going to have some basic numbers up on the screen here, but what's really important to know is that Whitman has a student body of about 1,500. It's a school like no other in a place like no other. Professors and fellow students become lifelong friends, mentors. You find connections through shared interests in things like service, research, exploration, adventure, everything like that. We're a nationally ranked liberal arts college located in a very unique part of the world in southeastern Washington. So one of the main things that you will hear at Whitman is a different kind of academic rigor. And what people mean by that is that Whitman really prides itself on cultivating a deep sense of engagement with academic subjects. One that is really interdisciplinary, one that focuses on like faculty and peer collaboration, and also one that really prioritizes experiential learning through fields, labs, field trips, everything like community projects, things like that. I think one of the best examples of sort of all of these values is actually one of our programs called Semester in the West. Semester in the West is basically a semester-long road trip around the American West. So you're going from Montana to New Mexico and then to the Pacific. It focuses on public land conservation and rural life. So it covers subjects like environmental studies, politics, history, sociology, philosophy and ethics. You're going to be covering a lot of different topics and looking at them from the perspective of many different stakeholders. You'll be speaking with not only like land managers and tribal leaders, you're also going to be talking to ranchers and conservationists and hearing their perspective as well. The other sort of unique thing to know about Whitman is that we offer a few special programs. There is a 3-2 dual degree program in engineering, oceanography, and forestry and land management. And then we also offer something called a combined major. A combined major at Whitman is something that instead of like dual majoring in astronomy and physics, you would take a combined major, astronomy, physics, and you would study the intersection of those fields from the moment you declare up through graduation. You would be talking about how they interact, how they play off of each other, and any work that you did would focus on where they come together. The next thing we will be discussing is the co-curricular. Co-curricular was a new phrase for me when I arrived in Walla Walla. All that it means is that Whitman understands that you don't leave your hobbies and your recreational activities at the door when you when you are going to be joining a class or anything like that, you are going to be bringing the values and the skills that you learned in theater or in, athletics. You're going to be bringing those things with you as a student, and they're going to inform who you are as an academic. With over about 120 student organizations, affinity groups, intramural teams, club teams, you do not struggle to fill your time by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of it is about narrowing down what's really important to you and spending some deliberate time on that. A student's day might look like classes in the morning, like orchestra at lunch, followed by a lab in the afternoon, and then playing with a club team out on Ankeny Field, which is sort of in the center of campus. Another major way that students spend their time in Walla Walla is community service. Over 70% of our students are involved with at least one community service organization. You have the chance to work with several different industries, such as the agricultural industry in Walla Walla, gleaning leftover produce and redistributing it to local food banks. But you also have the opportunity, like Jessica is doing in this picture, to work in local schools or with the old folks home that is right across the street from campus. There are familiar opportunities and then opportunities to do something that you have not yet tried in terms of community engagement. What Woodies are really internalizing is that your area of impact begins where you are geographically and the communities that you are in now, and expands from there. The final thing to talk about today is resources. This is actually why I chose to come to Whitman as a staff member. I just like to emphasize that Whitman is really good at publicizing resources, at letting people know what's available to them. I think one of the best examples is the Whitman Internship Grant. Both of the pictures here are featuring students who are doing their work with the Whitman Internship Grant. It's basically any field, any internship. You can get between $1,500 for a domestic semester, or you can get up to $5,000 to go abroad. And really what it is meant to do is enable people to try new things, to experiment, to see what sort of skills they like and what they want to take with them into the workplace. The other thing that I like to emphasize is that just in terms of recreation, we have different funds for clubs like the Bob Carson Outdoor Fund, which is $150 a year for students who might not otherwise have experienced outdoor recreation, to join in. The final thing that I will be talking about today is admission and financial aid. We do accept the common application and have a holistic process. We've been test optional since 2016. And then in terms of financial aid, I would also like to say that at Whitman, 82% of students are on some kind of scholarship. And all you need to know is that 2/3 of those students graduate without debt. Being in touch is definitely best. Thank you all so much, again, for giving us your time this evening. Take good care.
Thank you. Really appreciate that, Phoebe. Now I'm going to share my screen and I have a couple of questions here for you all. So if you could all come back to the video and we'll answer in the same way in which you all presented. But the first question is just what is like your favorite event or tradition that's just sort of fun on campus?
Yeah,
And
so
go ahead. I'm so sorry.
I was just jumping the gun. I was going for seamless here. So probably my favorite event and tradition, and not only my favorite, but I think honestly, if you were to truly ask any USF student, probably what they would say is their favorite event/tradition on campus is going to be Donaroo that happens every year. So Donaroo, this is our play on Bonnaroo. We are the Dons, that's our mascot. So we host Donaroo, which is an on-campus music festival every year, free to our students, and bring some really cool artists on campus, Janae Aiko, Ty Dolla Sign. I'm not going to embarrass myself and age myself by trying to pronounce any of the other names. So, but the point being, Donaroo is everybody's favorite tradition on campus.
Great, thanks. And McAllister?
Midnight breakfast. I've heard a lot of variations of this, but it's one of my favorites back from my student days. So the night before finals, each semester, 10 p.m. to midnight, we open up our dining hall. It's free. We're serving entirely breakfast foods to our entire campus community. It is served by faculty and staff. So they are the ones like behind the food lines. Like I got food from a professor whose exam I was taking the next morning once, and there was an awkward balance of like, should I be studying? Is it weird that I'm here? It's just one of those acknowledgements, especially in those like small liberal arts communities, of the balance between the academic commitment and also the community and the taking a chance to breathe and connect every once in a while.
Yeah, great. University of Redlands.
Yeah, alrighty. So I'll go with a cool tradition. So University of Redlands, our mascot is the Bulldogs, and we actually have a live bulldog. Her name is Addie. She's the first female mascot at University of Redlands. We've had one since 1918, so she's pretty important. She was actually coordinated when she became the mascot, so she's pretty fun. She's really active on campus. She goes out to football games. She goes out to basketball games, graduation, things of that nature whenever Redlands opens up new campuses, all that fun stuff. She's pretty active, so I definitely recommend that you follow her on TikTok and Instagram.
Great, thanks. Babson College.
We have something called Spring Day, which takes place on the last week of classes, where the students will go into Boston for the day and get to spend the last week together. We've had them rent out House of Blues before for private concerts there. We've had them go to Red Sox games together. So it's a really fun day to explore the city and just kind of take your mind off of finals and get ready to enjoy the time together before summer.
Great, and Whitman.
Absolutely. So I think one of my favorites is probably the duck hunt, which coincides with duckling crossing season. We have a lot of ducks on campus and a small lake dedicated to them called Lake Duckum. But people will hide rubber ducks all over campus, and people go and try to search out how many they can get to. And it generally coincides with people who are standing across the road from Lake Duckum over to the other side of the creek, just letting the ducklings cross. We found our first batch 2 days ago, and there were like nine or 10 of them. There are a lot of them. So that's always just a very springy type of event to join in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got one more question here as our final way to close it out. But what advice, being the professionals that you are, would you give all of our attendees here who are going through the college search process? San Francisco.
Yeah, so I think my advice would be pretty simple, straight to the point. Trust your student. Trust in this process at this point. Cultivate your own search, your own college list. I think there's a lot of pressure around, comparing and wanting to put certain schools on a list or not put certain schools on a list. I think just really, what you want, and just trust yourself and not be too preoccupied with what everybody else is doing or not doing.
Great. McAllister?
Boiled down, remember that you make twice as many decisions as we do. College admissions officers decide if you're admitted or not. You decide where you're applying, and you decide where you're going. I'm not a big math guy, but you have two, I have one. And that it's easy to get caught up in the middle it's easy to get caught up in that second decision, and there can be a lot of pressure and a lot of stress around it. But ultimately, if and when you can, you take a step back and think, I am in control of 2 of the 3 major pieces of this, I think you're going to be able to set yourself up for success.
Great, absolutely. And University of Redlands.
Yeah, alrighty. So my advice is the same every time around. This is pre-COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. And it's regarding financial aid. I think when students and families are applying to colleges, they get really scared of the sticker price that the institution is kind of showcasing. And given the current circumstances, a lot of things have changed, shifted, and family plans have definitely maybe have gone out the window. And so the advice that I have to offer all of you is don't focus on financial aid as the first determining factor. That can be something that you have a discussion about after, but don't let a university sticker price scare you. And I think most of us on here probably have some terrifying sticker prices since we're all private institutions. So our institutions might look like they are not affordable, but you might be surprised as to how much financial aid you can get from some of us. So apply, take the chance. The worst thing that can happen is that financial aid sucks and you just move on to your next option, but you don't know unless you try.
Great, yeah. Babson College.
I think my advice would be to any parents listening or students here to remember to enjoy the process, that this is stressful, and students who are going through this process right now also have a pandemic on top of this where they haven't had the time or resources that students in the past have. So don't forget to enjoy high school, enjoy being 17, 18, and really take the time to reflect on your passion throughout your application. It's going to be something that we want to read. We're excited to hear about what you've been doing up until this point in your life. So let that shine through and just be authentic through that and enjoy your time while you're doing it.
Great. And last but not least, Whitman.
I will say mine is the classic quality over quantity, but specifically what I'm talking about in terms of quality is just making sure that admission officers like us have all the facts in front of us when looking at your application. It can be easy to sort of leave things out. I know like something that I really wish I'd known about when applying for colleges was the additional information section. Just providing context that's not stated explicitly elsewhere in the application, making sure you mention if you had a sports injury or anything like that is always going to help us put whatever sort of academic or interpersonal trends you have going in context.
Great. Well, thank you all so much. I'm going to close us out here now. And I just want to say thank you to all 5 of you for being here and presenting all this great information about your schools. I know it's been definitely of service to a lot of students here tonight. And thank you all who are watching us here live. We are super grateful that you've stuck around for this amazing college fair and got to learn so much in this evening. When you close this window, yet again, there will be a short 4-question survey that we at StriveScan would love to have your feedback on. So please, if you're willing to do that, please do so. Also, this is just one of many sessions that are always being hosted. And in about 1 week, you will be able to find this session's recording, as well as other session recordings at strivescan.com/BACS. Thank you. You all have a wonderful night. Bye now.